I used to drive Route 9 4 nights a week. I worked a late shift at a distribution warehouse about 40 minutes outside of Millbrook, New York, and Route 9 was the fastest way home. 2 lanes, thick tree cover on both sides, and almost no other traffic past 11 at night. I knew every curve of that road, every mile marker, every pothole the county never bothered to fix. It was the kind of drive where your hands just go on autopilot and your mind drifts somewhere else entirely. I drove it for 2 years without incident. I want to say that clearly because what I'm about to tell you happened on a road I knew by heart, a road I trusted. And that trust is exactly what made it so hard to process. It was a Thursday in late October. I clocked out around 11:15 and got on Route 9 heading north. It had rained earlier in the evening, and the road was still wet, that dark mirror shine that makes your headlights look like they're reflecting off the surface of something much deeper than asphalt. Temperature was dropping fast. I had my heat on low, some talk radio murmuring in the background, and I had just passed the mile marker for the Millbrook Township line. That's when I saw her. She was standing on the right shoulder of the road, maybe 30 feet ahead of my headlights. White dress, long, pale arms, dark hair wet against her face. She was facing the road directly, like she had been waiting there, and as I got closer, I could see she was beautiful, in the way that makes you feel something before you understand what you're feeling. My foot came off the gas without me telling it to. Every instinct I had said to stop. A woman alone, middle of nowhere, nearly midnight, in the cold, clearly in distress. I'm a decent person. I wanted to help. I slowed to about 20 miles an hour and got close enough to see her clearly. And that's when something happened that I have never been able to fully explain. It wasn't anything dramatic. She didn't transform. Her face didn't change. There was no sudden movement, no sound, nothing that should have made my stomach drop the way it did. It was something much smaller and much harder to name. It was the way she was standing, like she wasn't compensating for the uneven ground the way a person would, like her weight wasn't quite distributed the way weight should be, like she was placed there rather than standing there. And her eyes. She was looking directly at me before my headlights were anywhere near her face, not turning to look, not reacting to the light, already looking, like she had known exactly where I would be. I drove past her. I don't know why. I still can't give you a rational explanation. Something in my body made the decision before my brain could finish the argument, and my foot went back to the gas, and I passed her at about 15 miles an hour, and I watched her in my rearview mirror until the road curved and she disappeared. She did not turn to watch me go. She was already looking up the road, waiting for the next car. I didn't sleep well that night. I didn't sleep well for several nights after. I told myself it was nothing. A woman waiting for someone to pick her up, a stranded driver, someone who had walked away from an accident further down the road. I had a dozen explanations, and none of them made me feel better, because none of them accounted for that stillness. I started asking around carefully, not in an obvious way. I'd mention the road in conversation, see if anyone's face changed. A woman at my workplace, Linda, who had grown up in that part of Dutchess County, went quiet when I described where I'd seen the figure. She looked at me for a second, the way people look at someone who has just unknowingly said something they weren't supposed to say. "You didn't stop," she said. It wasn't a question. I said no. She nodded slowly and said, "Good," and then changed the subject. When I tried to bring it back, she said she didn't want to talk about it at work and never brought it up again. I found a local Facebook group for the Route 9 and Millbrook area. Neighborhood stuff mostly. Lost dogs, road conditions, local events. I searched the group for the words white dress and got 3 results before the results cut off, and I realized the original posts had been deleted. One comment still existed in a thread that had been stripped down to almost nothing. It said, "That road has a history, and not everyone who drove it is still findable." I screenshot it. 3 days later, the comment was gone too. I want to tell you about a man named Doug. I'm not going to use his last name. I'm not even going to tell you how I knew him, because honestly, the details of how I knew him are starting to fade in ways I can't explain, and it frightens me. What I can tell you is that he drove Route 9 regularly. He worked somewhere north of Millbrook. He drove a dark green pickup truck. He had a daughter. I know he had a daughter because I remember thinking his daughter had her father's eyes. I can't remember her name. I can't remember his daughter's name. And I knew this family. I sat across from them at a table somewhere. I remember the table. I remember the light. I remember the feeling of being there. But the names are gone, and the faces are going. And when I try to focus on them directly, they slip sideways like a word you know, but can't say. Doug stopped driving Route 9 about 3 months before I saw the woman in white. I only know this because I can still almost remember it. The way you almost remember a dream an hour after waking up. He was there, and then he wasn't there. And when he wasn't there, no one asked about him. I didn't ask about him. The desk where no, I don't know if it was a desk. I don't know what his job was. I don't know why I'm using the word desk, but I remember the absence. I remember it the way you remember the space where a tooth used to be. You run your tongue over it, and there's nothing there, but your tongue remembers something was. I went looking for the house. I want to be clear about the timeline. I did this in daylight. I went on a Sunday afternoon in November with full cell service and a fully charged phone, and I told my roommate exactly where I was going and what time to call the police if I didn't text her back. I am not a reckless person. I just needed to know. I had spoken to an older man at the Sunoco station off Route 9, a man who had been working that station for what looked like 30 or 40 years. And when I described the spot where I had seen the woman in white, he told me there was an old property set back from the road. Said the access trail was overgrown and had been for as long as he could remember. Said he didn't know who it belonged to or when anyone had last been there. Said it the way someone says something they know more about than they're letting on. I found the trail. It was barely visible, just a gap in the tree line and a faint compression in the ground where vehicles had once passed regularly enough to leave a depression that hadn't fully healed. I walked it for about a quarter mile into the woods before the house appeared. It was a 2-story structure, colonial style once. White paint long since gone gray and peeling. Porch collapsed on one end, every window dark. The kind of stillness around a building that feels less like emptiness and more like held breath. I did not go inside. I am not going to tell you I went inside. I stood at the edge of the porch and looked through the nearest broken window, and what I saw through that window is the reason I am sitting here telling you this story. The floor of the front room was covered in personal items, not scattered, not thrown, arranged. Wallets lying open, sets of keys, a watch with a cracked face and a brown leather strap, a cell phone with a shattered screen, an older model, the kind that was current maybe 12 years ago, a wedding ring sitting alone in the center of the room, catching what little light came through the broken ceiling above it, gleaming like it was waiting to be recognized. Too many objects, from too many different eras, collected over too long a period of time. I counted at least 40 wallets before I stopped counting. I took photos. I sent them to myself immediately. I still have them. What I don't have is an explanation. I don't know what she is. I don't know if she's a ghost in the way the word ghost usually means, or something older than that. Something that predates whatever framework we use to understand the dead. I don't know what the house is. I don't know what happens inside it, Because the men whose wallets are on that floor aren't leaving trails. They're not missing persons. They're not dead. They are simply not. They have been subtracted from the world so cleanly that the world didn't notice the cut. I think about Doug. I think about the daughter whose name I am losing by the week. I think about whether she woke up one morning with a vague feeling, an unnameable hollowness, a sense that something had been removed from her life so precisely that there wasn't even a wound left to hurt. Just a quiet, permanent absence that feels like hers but doesn't have a name. I still drive Route 9 sometimes. I haven't seen her again. I don't know if that means she's gone, or if it means she has everything she needs for now, or if it means she's already seen my face and decided I'm not useful to her a second time. I don't know which of those possibilities scares me the most. What I know is this: if you drive that road at night, any road like that road, any stretch of dark highway with thick trees on both sides and no houses in sight, and you see a woman standing on the shoulder in a white dress, already looking at you before your lights reach her face, don't slow down. Don't make eye contact. Don't stop. And if someone who used to be in your life is suddenly just gone, not dead, not moved away, just quietly absent in a way no one seems to be talking about, ask yourself when they last drove that road. Ask yourself why no one else is asking. Have you ever experienced something like this? Have you ever seen someone standing on the side of a dark road at night? What was your first instinct? Did you want to stop? Did something tell you not to? Have you ever felt that hollow space in your memory? Like someone should be there, but isn't, and the more you try to hold on to them, the faster they slip away. Tell me in the comment below. And if you're new to Supernatural Tales, hit that subscribe button. We have more stories like this, darker ones, stranger ones, the kind that stay with you. Until next time, stay safe out there.